The color First Star. The company Sherwin-Williams. This is Hue Review, so let's review. So let's discover everything you need to know about this paint color. The way that I like to review colors on this channel is to give you the vibe of it, how versatile it is, and then I'll tell you my verdict whether I would use it, and if so, how I would use it in my home. I'm also going to give you two other paint colors that are similar, but just lighter and darker variants. That way you have some flexibility in terms of depth. Today's sponsor is us. ThePaintPeople.com is your go-to destination for quality paint and paint supplies. Whether you're a do-it-yourself enthusiast or a professional painter, we have everything you need to make your project a success. Visit our website today and discover a world of colors, quality, and convenience. And as a thank you for supporting us on YouTube, use coupon code JAMES5 for 5% off your order. And right before I get into this color, I want to give you some alternatives from other paint companies as well. So in case you're not using Sherwin-Williams paint, you want a color that's 90% of the way to First Star, these are going to be similar options, but they're not going to be spot-on matches. You got to get Sherwin-Williams to get the real deal, First Star. And also, maybe a press that like button would be nice too. Thank you. First things first, what is the vibe of First Star? What kind of color is it? Sherwin-Williams describes it as a cool, clear white with some gray undertones. I know for a fact that this is not a white. This is more so an off-white, even a very, very light gray color. And we know this because we can look at the LRV, or the light reflectance value. And if you're new to the channel, if you're not yet a subscriber, you maybe haven't heard of what LRV is. Essentially, it's a 0 to 100 lightness score. It's the percentage of light that any color reflects. So the higher that number is, the brighter it'll be, the closer it'll be to white. First Star is only at a 69, which is not super bright. Yes, it is in the lighter half of all paint colors, making it pretty light, but definitely not a white. So essentially it's a light gray, but what kind of light gray is it? That is also a bit of an issue to define because gray is so subjective and it's so dependent on your home, your lighting, your flooring, your furniture. But in a vacuum, I find this color to be pretty balanced. It tends to read a bit cooler in person just because it is on that cusp, but I actually think it has a little bit of an earthiness, like it has a touch of maybe a brown happening, like a taupey touch to it. That does give it like this very light, pale pebble quality that I really enjoy. I do think it's minimalist and subtle enough that this is one of those kind of backdrop colors. That's what light grays can tend to do if you're a fan of gray. Okay, so let's talk about versatility. And the way that I want to do this section is through a tier list. What letter grade would I give First Star on the versatility meter? I would probably give it a B. And the reason for that is, yes, it's neutral, it's subtle, it's passive, which are all good things, but it's also gray, which is not super popular nowadays, so it could limit you as to where you can input it in your design. And it is a cooler leaning gray as well, which, again, some people just aren't into. I do find that people still prefer grayish overall because it gives you more outs, it gives you more options, especially on the interior side of things. As an exterior color, to me, First Star, I would probably put it at a C. And not because it's really polarizing, it's actually the opposite. I find it so passive, so blah when used outside. It kind of looks like an off-white, but not in a good way. It doesn't really have anything to distinguish itself. I find if you went with a gray on the outside, I would go a little deeper so it actually has more substance to it. And if I wanted an off-white, I'd probably go a little bit warmer and creamier to help neutralize it with the sun putting all this cool light on your house. So First Star, not a really good choice for me for exterior use. Interior-wise, it's going to be more usable for sure. So what's the verdict here? What do I think of this color personally? And then afterwards, I'll give you those two color pairings to finish up. How I would use this color, where would I put it on the palette pyramid? Is it a support color to use on your trim or on the secondary parts of your home? Is it a finishing color that's more of an accent choice? Not a chance. I would say First Star is potentially a main color option. The reason for that is it is subtle, it is muted, it's going to work in a lot of situations as long as you're okay with a bit of a grayed out feel. It's not a cement gray, it's not a concrete mid-tone gray that's a bit heavier. First Star does have some lightness to it, which I think is a good thing in this case. So that's how I would use it. But would I? No, I don't think so. I don't think I would because if I wanted gray, I would go more gray. This color is just a little too laissez-faire, ambiguous as a color. I could see a world where maybe I would go gray on the walls and then everything else in the room would be warmer and airier just to give you that sort of counterbalance, but it just wouldn't suit my decor at this point because I already have gray elements off of the walls. I don't want to add any more. And I'm pretty sure most of you can agree with that. All my graders, Now, in terms of color pairings, as an off-white, I would probably suggest Snowbound. So if you wanted First Star on the walls, Snowbound on the trim, I think that'd be a great pairing. If you wanted a darker gray that has some similarities in terms of its core elements, Mindful Gray could be a good choice. And what's interesting is Mindful Gray has a similar makeup to First Star, although quite a bit darker. But as you add some depth and richness and saturation, that touch of coolness that's kind of vague becomes a little more prominent. And Mindful Gray has that sort of almost greeny taupe quality to it that gives it some unique characteristics. All three of these colors are going to work really, really well. Very monochromatic, obviously. And that's the review. So if you want to see a First Star color palette at the end of the week, let me know in the comment section below. And we got another video right over here.